A dusty California morning. The garage doors roll open and sunlight spills across chrome and history. Inside, a legend stands beside his machines. Clint Eastwood, 94 years old, still outpacing the world. To most, he's the man with no name. The outlaw. The director who rewrote Hollywood. But behind those doors, Clint is something else. A lifelong gearhead with stories written in steel and gasoline. This isn't just a car collection. It's a timeline of a man who lived fast, worked hard, and never looked back. From the hot rods of his teenage dreams to the electric hum of modern times, every car tells a chapter of Clint's journey. So buckle up, because we're diving deep into the 10 most legendary cars owned by Clint Eastwood, and trust me, number 1 might just surprise you. Number 10, 1932. Ford Roadster. Before he was a Hollywood icon, Clint Eastwood was just a broke teenager from California. Lifeguard by day, dreamer by night. He'd watch other kids roar past in their hot rods, the rumble of engines echoing through the hills. He couldn't afford one then, but the dream never left. Decades later, after conquering Hollywood, Clint finally bought what he'd always wanted, a 1932 Ford Roadster. Not just any car, but the holy grail of hot rods. Built for speed, stripped for style, a car that defined the California car scene. When Clint drove it for the first time, it wasn't about luxury or fame, it was about freedom. A throwback to the days when all he wanted was to feel the wind cut across his face. And make no mistake, this beast could still smoke many modern sports cars, hitting 0 to 60 in under 5 seconds. For Clint, this wasn't just a car. It was a full circle moment, from a lifeguard watching others chase the dream, to a man who caught it. But if you think that Roadster was fast, wait till you hear about the car that made even Ferrari owners nervous. Number 9, 1976, Ferrari 365 GT4. Berlinetta boxer and 1966 Ferrari 275 GTB. Most people don't to think Ferrari when they think of Clint Eastwood, but the man has always been full of surprises. In 1977, Eastwood added a Ferrari 365 GT4 Berlinetta boxer to his collection, Ferrari's first mid-engine V12 road car. This wasn't just an Italian masterpiece. It was a statement. Clint didn't just buy it, he customized it. Unhappy with the closed roof design, he had the top completely removed, turning it into a one-of-a-kind open-top monster. Imagine that. Eastwood behind the wheel, wind tearing through the car, V12 roaring like a lion. He owned it until 1985. But the Ferrari that truly came with a story was the 1966 Ferrari 275 GTB. It wasn't just bought, it was gifted. Italian producer Dino De Laurentiis offered it to Clint as an incentive to star in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Yes, that's right. One of the most iconic westerns in cinema history might owe a little something to a Ferrari. Originally painted gunmetal gray, Clint had it refinished in a shimmering metallic green by customizer George Barris. With a sleek aerodynamic body and a 3.3-liter V12 engine, this car wasn't just beauty, it was performance wrapped in perfection. And in true Eastwood fashion, it wasn't for showing off. It was for driving, fast and free. Number 8, 1955, Cadillac Eldorado Series 62. Convertible. Every legend has a soft spot. And for Clint Eastwood, it's the 1955 Cadillac Eldorado Series 62 convertible. He bought it just 2 years after marrying Maggie Johnson, one of his earliest prized possessions. In the 1950s, this car was the ultimate status symbol. Chrome fins, 270 horsepower V8, and a price tag that screamed success. Clint wasn't just an actor anymore. He was a man on the rise. Maybe it reminded him of the golden age of Hollywood. Or maybe it was because Cadillac represented everything he was working toward. A dream fulfilled. Years later, he'd even drive another Cadillac in his movie Pink Cadillac. The film didn't make waves, but the car? It became a classic symbol of his style. Clint's love for the Eldorado wasn't about fame or flash. It was about elegance. A reminder that even the toughest cowboy could appreciate a smooth ride. Number 7. Austin Healey 100 mph. The year was 1958. Clint had just landed his big break on Rawhide. Hollywood was opening its doors, and he celebrated the best way a car lover could, by buying an Austin Healey 100 mph. Back then, this car was a showstopper. It could hit 100 miles per hour when most cars struggled to reach 70. It wasn't just fast, and it was refined. The kind of car you didn't just drive, you experienced. The Austin Healey was Clint's declaration that he was here to stay. It wasn't about showing off wealth, but about feeling alive behind the wheel. Even today, a well-maintained Healey 100M can fetch over $200,000. But to Clint, its value wasn't in the price tag, it was in the memory of a young actor, finally living the dream he once chased from the sidelines. Number 6. Jaguar XK150. Roadster Clint's next obsession was pure British charm, the 1960 Jaguar XK150 Roadster. It wasn't just a car he owned, it was a car he gave screen time. In his directorial debut, Play Misty for Me, Eastwood not only starred, he also featured his own Jaguar on screen. With its curving lines and 3.8-liter engine producing 220 horsepower, this wasn't just a piece of art, it was a mechanical symphony. There were only 9,285 ever built, and Clint's was among the finest. It symbolized everything he stood for: class, performance, and individuality. When people saw him cruising that Jaguar in the film, they weren't just watching a movie. They were witnessing a man's personal statement. This is who I am. Number 5, 1966. Morris Mini Countryman Cooper S. Clint Eastwood has always been known for precision in acting, directing, and even driving. So it's no surprise that he added something small but mighty to his garage, the 1966 Morris Mini Countryman Cooper S. To most people, a Mini is just a cute car. But this one? It was built for racing. Under that small frame beats the same engineering that dominated the Monte Carlo Rally in the 1960s. This wasn't just Clint trying something new, this was him, embracing European performance on a whole new scale. And what makes it even cooler, only 6 of these Countryman Cooper S models were ever built. Steve McQueen owned 2. And Clint, the silent cowboy turned car connoisseur, had one too. He even customized it, swapping its standard white paint for British racing green, giving it that raw, aggressive edge. Clint once said in an interview, "I've got a Morris Mini Countryman. It's kind of an interesting little car." But for someone who usually drove beasts of power and muscle, this little British machine stood out, not because of its size, but because it reminded him that great things don't always have to be loud. Number 4, GMC Typhoon now. Let's fast forward to something unexpected. In 2016, during an interview with Jimmy Fallon, Clint was asked what kind of car he drives these days. Fallon guessed maybe a big truck, but Clint just smiled and replied, "I drive a GMC Typhoon. It's fast, that's classic Eastwood. Well, no overstatement, no bragging, just facts." The GMC Typhoon isn't your average SUV. Built in the early 90s, this factory-modified performance vehicle could sprint from 0 to 60 in just 5.3 seconds. That's faster than a Ferrari 348 from the same era. Powered by a turbocharged 4.3-liter V6, the Typhoon was rare, only 4,697 units ever made. And Clint didn't just own it for its rarity. He loved what it represented, strength with subtlety. A car that didn't scream for attention, but could smoke almost anything that challenged it. While other Hollywood stars were flaunting Lamborghinis and Bentleys, Clint was quietly pulling up in an American-made powerhouse that could leave them all behind. And that's what makes this choice pure Eastwood. Low profile, but lethal. Number 3, 1937 Lincoln K-Series convertible now. Here's a story that feels straight out of one of his movies. Remember the car he drove while playing a tuberculosis-stricken character on screen? That beautiful, roaring machine, the 1937 Lincoln K-Series convertible, wasn't just a prop. Clint fell in love with it while filming. After production wrapped, he did what any true car lover would do. He bought one for himself. With a 6.8-liter V12 engine, this Lincoln wasn't just luxurious, it was ferocious. In its time, it could hit speeds over 90 miles per hour, while most cars of that era barely touched 60. That kind of performance in the 1930s was unheard of. Even Lincoln's ads back then compared it to Rolls-Royce, boasting about smoother shifting and better suspension, and they weren't wrong. Behind the wheel, Clint felt that same sense of dominance he brought to every film role. Here's the fun part. On set, Clint famously avoided reshoots. Matt Damon once asked him for another take, and Clint shot back, "Why? So you can waste everyone's time?" He moves fast, decisive, and efficient, just like his Lincoln. For Clint, that car wasn't just transportation. It was a reflection of an era when craftsmanship mattered and when power was silent but absolute. Number 2, 1972. Gran Torino Sport. Now we step into cinematic legend. Clint Eastwood doesn't just own the 1972 Gran Torino Sport, he immortalized it. This is the same car that starred in his 2008 classic Gran Torino. The film told the story of a hardened man finding redemption, and the car was more than just a prop. It was a symbol. A connection to America's golden age of muscle cars and to Clint's own unshakable identity. Before filming, Eastwood's production team tracked down the Gran Torino on eBay, restored it, and gave it life again. Once Clint got behind the wheel, it was over. He had to own it. After filming wrapped, he bought it straight from the studio. Under its hood, the Torino Sport packed a 351 Cleveland V8, delivering around 248 horsepower and pure attitude. Back in the early 70s, when muscle cars were starting to fade, this one stood tall, proud, and unrelenting. When Clint drove it on screen, audiences didn't just see a car, they saw a man holding on to the last piece of an era. That Gran Torino wasn't just a vehicle, it was his story. Number 1, 1977, Pontiac Trans Am. And now, we reach the meanest machine in Clint Eastwood's garage, the 1977 Pontiac Trans Am Special Edition. Yes, the same black and gold legend that burned rubber in Smokey and the Bandit. This one, though, belonged to Clint himself. With its 6.6-liter V8 engine pushing 300 horsepower, it could rocket from 0 to 60 in under 7 seconds. A muscle icon, wrapped in Firebird decals and attitude. Clint's history with Trans Ams runs deeper than this single car. In his 1974 film Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, he drove a white 1973 Trans Am, and rumor has it, that car still sits quietly in one of his storage garages. The Trans Am wasn't about luxury or refinement. It was raw, unapologetic energy. The kind of car that made you feel alive, even standing still. For Clint Eastwood, a man who spent his career defying age, expectations, and the system, this car was the perfect mirror. Timeless, fearless, and iconic. Bonus: Fiat 500e, but even legends evolve. And Clint Eastwood, the same man who once tore through the desert in roaring V12s, can now be seen cruising the streets of Los Angeles in something smaller. The Fiat 500e, yes, an electric car. Quiet, compact, and completely opposite of everything in his garage. But here's the twist. That's exactly why he loves it. With 111 horsepower and an 8.4-second 0 to 60, it's quick enough for city driving, packed with tech, and easy to maneuver through LA traffic. It's not about showing off anymore. It's about ease, comfort, and adapting to a new era. Because at 94 years old, Clint Eastwood still drives what he wants, just like he's always lived how he wants. While others chase trends, he sets his own path. Whether it's a roaring V12, a classic Cadillac, or a whisper-quiet electric car, every vehicle he's ever owned has shared one thing: soul. Clint Eastwood's garage isn't just filled with cars. It's filled with chapters, each one representing a different time in his life. The lifeguard who dreamed of speed, the Hollywood star who found his freedom on the open road, and the legend who still knows that horsepower isn't measured by engines, it's measured by drive. From the thundering roar of a 1932 Ford Roadster to the silent hum of a Fiat 500e, Eastwood's story reminds us of one thing: you can slow down the years, but you can never slow down passion. So which of Clint Eastwood's cars impressed you the most? Tell us in the comments below, and stick around because we've got more legendary celebrity garages coming your way. This is the Celeb's Garage, and we'll see you in the next one.